we think we have to know our brother to love him, when in fact, the more we indulge in the farce of intellectually knowing him, the less freely, widely, and deeply we can love him. The more we think we know, the more inclined these ego eyes of ours are to project the murky haze of unlove onto all we see. The more we turn to the past to try and understand our brother, the less we are able to love him right now. We get to thinking ourselves compassionate for learning the facts, figures, and timelines of our brother's past, and then weaving those dry, static megabytes into our current projection of him. We think ourselves loving if he tells us he's had it hard in the past, and we strive to make concessions for those stories in our right now loving of him. We dare call that compassion. Bullshit. What compassion is there in throwing a net over a wild animal and leading it into a cage of our own design? None. The more we buy into our knowing of a person's story, the more solid our cages and nets become. The past, our concessions, and our inability to see the perfect, brilliant, infinite nature of the one standing in front of us is the antithesis of compassion. Standing before us is a wholly innocent, utterly complete child of life. Let's stop seeing less. Let's stop tarnishing our brother's perfect image with the ugly brush of his story. Actually, it's not even that. It's the ugly brush of our story of his story. Past hurts, abuse, abandonment, addictions, failures, whatever the story, whatever our egos would have us think we know about him, let us not paint him with it. That's not love. Sure, he may paint over his own vision of himself as heavily as he can. Through his eyes, his perfect image may be barely visible under the sludge of his own story. But he cannot paint over the vision we have of him. He cannot paint over his own radiance if it is in our vision to see it. He cannot paint over his perfect, complete, brilliant genius if it is in our vision to see it. He cannot paint over his inherent infinite lovability if we refuse to see anything else. If we resolutely put down our brushes and refuse to paint any dirty drama on this perfect being in front of us. Let us put down our dirty brushes and stop painting our brother with the past, ours or his. We need know nothing to love our brother. We need only be willing to see our brother clearly. When we see our brother clearly, anything less than love for him will become impossible. We will know our brother so well, so wholly, that all there is to do is love him. Let us be willing to see our brother clearly. Let us not paint over his perfect image.